David Torres thought he was living the American dream, fresh out of college, working for Miami's most prestigious real estate firm, watching billions flow through luxury developments. But when he opened that one file marked confidential executive, access only, David discovered that every gleaming tower, every waterfront mansion, every paradise he'd helped build was constructed with blood money. And now, the cartels, the mafia, and corrupt politicians all wanted him dead. The morning sun painted Miami's skyline in gold as David Torres walked into Meridian Development Group's glass towers. At 26, he was the youngest senior financial analyst the company had ever hired. Meridian was Miami's crown jewel of real estate development. Their properties lined Biscayne Bay like architectural diamonds, 40-story condominiums where penthouses sold for $20 million. David's job was simple: analyze financial flows, ensure compliance, and keep the money moving. In 3 years, Meridian had completed projects worth over $4 billion. That this morning, his boss, Elena Vasquez, had left an unusual request. "David, I need you to conduct a comprehensive audit of Project Serenity. Full financial analysis. All transactions, all investors. Complete discretion required." Project Serenity was Meridian's latest masterpiece, a 50-story luxury tower on Star Island. The project had been fast-tracked, funded entirely by private investors, and sold out before construction began. David pulled up the financial records and immediately noticed something odd. The investment structure was incredibly complex. Money flowing from dozens of shell companies and offshore accounts. Babylon Holdings LLC had invested $89 million, registered in the Cayman Islands, no public ownership records. Neptune Capital Partners contributed $156 million, incorporated in Panama, with a mailing address that was a shipping container. Every major investor was a shell company. Every shell company was registered in banking secrecy havens. The amounts were far beyond typical real estate investments. David's hands shook as he realized the truth. This wasn't real estate development. This was money laundering on an industrial scale. 3 days of investigation revealed the terrifying truth. Every major development Meridian had completed followed the same pattern: shell company investors, offshore funding, and impossibly fast sales to buyers who never lived in the properties. David created a spreadsheet that made his blood run cold. Ocean View Towers, $2.3 billion. 89% sold to shell company's Paradise Bay Resort, $1.8 billion. Buyers connected to cartel money Marina District Complex, $3.1 billion. Financing linked to Russian organized crime. Total, over $12 billion in laundered money had flowed through Meridian's projects. That evening, David worked late in the empty office. Around midnight, he heard footsteps. Elena Vasquez appeared. In his doorway with 2 large, well-dressed men who looked like bodyguards. "David," Elena said, her usual warm smile replaced by something colder. "Working late again, just finishing quarterly reports," David replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Elena glanced at his computer screen. "I hope you're finding everything in order with Project Serenity. Everything looks good. Standard investment structure, clean financials." Elena nodded, but her eyes never left his face. "That's good to hear, because it would be unfortunate if anyone got the wrong impression. About our business practices." One of the men stepped closer. David could see the outline of a gun under his jacket. "David, I think you should take a vacation. Visit your family in Ohio. Take time to think about how much you value your job here and your life." After they left, David sat for 20 minutes, heart pounding. The message was clear: stop digging or face the consequences. But David had seen too much. He knew the luxury towers around him were monuments to human suffering built with money from drugs, trafficking, and violence. Vincent "Vinny" Torino looked more like a retired investment banker than one of America's most dangerous criminals. But the 70-year-old had built a criminal empire, spanning 3 decades and 6 countries, in his penthouse restaurant overlooking Miami Beach. Torino addressed criminal representatives from around the world: Russians, Chinese triads, Colombian cartels, and others representing billions in dirty money. "Miami is perfect for our purposes," Torino explained. "International city, luxury, market, minimal oversight, and accommodating local government. The beauty of real estate is that you can invest $50 million in cash and nobody asks where it came from. Buy a building for $50 million, hold it 2 years, sell for $45 million. And congratulations, you've cleaned $45 million. The $5 million loss is just the cost of business. Dmitry Kozlov from the Russian Bratva leaned forward. Vincent, I'm hearing rumors about problems. Questions being asked. Torino's smile didn't waver. Just a young accountant asking the wrong questions. Elena is handling it. The boy will either accept a generous relocation package or have an unfortunate accident. What Torino didn't know was that David had already copied terabytes of data and sent summaries to 3 investigative journalists. The laundromat kings were about to discover their perfect system. Had one fatal flaw. It required absolute secrecy. FBI Special Agent Maria Santos recognized the real thing when she saw David's encrypted evidence package. 20 years investigating financial crimes had taught her to spot explosive material, and this was it. But investigating Vincent Torino meant going up against one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the country. Torino had survived decades by being smarter and more ruthless than his competitors. When Maria couldn't reach David, she found his apartment empty with signs of hasty departure. Alina discovered David had accessed files far beyond his authorization, copying financial records dating back 7 years, including documents directly implicating Torino and his partners. He knows everything, Alina told Torino. Client names, transactions, shell companies, everything. Torino's calm cracked. How is that possible? David's not just an accountant, he's a computer expert with a master's in forensic accounting. He knew exactly what to look for. Find him, Torino said quietly. Use every resource. Check family, friends, college roommates. 300 miles away, David sat in a Tampa motel room watching CNN report on explosive money laundering allegations. In Miami real estate, the story was breaking as planned, but he knew media attention would make Torino more desperate. David's phone buzzed. We have your sister. Call this number if you want to see her alive. The kidnapping escalated everything. Agent Santos knew once criminals took hostages, violence was inevitable. She had maybe 24 hours to find both David and Sarah before Torino decided they were too dangerous to keep alive. Torino. The voice was cold on the phone. You'll return the files, forget everything about my business, and your sister goes home safely. I've already given them to the FBI. David lied. Your sister is in a Hialeah warehouse. You have 6 hours to bring me the originals and all copies, or Sarah will experience things that will haunt your nightmares. David called Agent Santos about the kidnapping. Within an hour, the FBI had mobilized a task force, including DIRS and Miami-Dade police. Alina Vasquez was having second thoughts about Torino when she overheard plans to kill both David and Sarah regardless of cooperation. She made a crucial decision. She called Agent Santos, Northwest 87th Avenue warehouse. Torino's holding the girl in the basement, but he's planning to kill them both tonight. Anyway, the FBI raid happened at sunset. 20 agents surrounded the building while SWAT prepared to breach. Flashbang grenades shattered windows as agents poured through multiple entrances within minutes. They'd secured the building and found Sarah, terrified but unharmed. But Vincent Torino was gone. Along with Alina and several million from emergency accounts, 6 months later, David sat in federal court watching the Meridian collapse unfold. Operation Laundromat had become one of the largest money laundering prosecutions in U.S. history. Elena's testimony revealed the full scope, $12 billion, laundered over 5 years, connections to criminal organizations in 17 countries, and corruption reaching Miami's highest business and political levels. 43 people were indicted. Alina received 5 years. 3 Miami officials got 8 years each. International money men were arrested or remained fugitives. But Vincent Torino had vanished completely, probably hiding in a non-extradition country, still running criminal enterprises from the shadows. David received FBI commendation and a Treasury Department job offer. Sarah recovered and was studying criminal justice, inspired to fight organized crime on the courthouse steps. Agent Santos told David, "You exposed a criminal empire operating with complete impunity." David looked at Meridian's empty headquarters, its assets frozen by federal marshals. "I keep thinking about all the victims, drug victims, trafficking victims, communities destroyed by the crimes that funded these buildings. That's why what you did matters. You proved no criminal enterprise is too big to fall. As sunset painted Miami's skyline, David knew Torino was still out there, probably planning his next operation. But the next generation of criminals would be more careful, more paranoid, knowing someone might be watching their transactions. The laundromat kings had been dethroned, but the war against organized crime would continue.